This week's best MMA bets, we're talking UFC 311. I'm giving you guys my lock of the week, most confident picks, favorite underdogs, Degen Props of the night, and then closing out the show with everybody's favorite section, the Parlays. Make sure you guys smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, and share the video too. Now, last week, the comeback of the UFC was a pretty dud of a main event. As far as the fights went throughout the card, not bad actual matchups, but lacking name value completely. And the lock of the week was also a dud. I locked Trey Ogden. Trey Ogden lost. Trey Ogden tore his bicep. In the first round, though, it seemed to me the underdog lock was going to be guaranteed money as he was doing great work against Moises, but he forgot to defend against the calf kicks. In round 2, he drops to one of them, and then in round 3, he ends up falling off the back of Thiago Moises and then giving up bottom position, and then Thiago Moises did what had to be done and beat him on the judges' scorecards. But that's the first card of the year. I was just getting warmed up. I was getting loose and limber. I'm ready to bring the thunder for UFC 311, and I'm cooking it up with a Lock City parlay as this week's lock. And I'm normally pretty money with these Lock City parlays, and I'm ready to bring it for UFC 311. So without further ado, the lock of the week.
Benardo, Lion King Sopaj.
But that's not all. Benardo, Sopaj, and Islam Makhachev. I love this as a Lock City parlay. These are two high confidence picks on the card for me, and bringing them together eliminates a substantial amount of chalk that you got to lay down if you're just laying money lines on either one of them. The parlay sits at -137, and I believe both of them are in very favorable matchups. Now, for the champion, Islam Makhachev, I'm picking him over Arman Tsarukyan. I simply think he's not only better everywhere, but he's more proven against the best guys in the world. When it gets going deep, right, into the later rounds, I think Makhachev thrives. I feel like in the striking, Makhachev a little more accurate, though Tsarukyan has incredible dexterity and, pretty good striking. He's got some power, but I don't think he has the power to knock out Makhachev. I think Makhachev is a more precise puncher. As far as wrestling, yes, there's good offensive wrestling pressure from Arman Tsarukyan, but I don't see him out-wrestling Makhachev enough so to win a fight, especially. That's crazy to me. I think Makhachev is ready for 5 hard rounds, and I think he'll be able to outwork Arman Tsarukyan. He'll be able to fight off takedown attempts, land takedowns of his own, and I think he'll land some clean shots on the feet too. And I could even see him hurting Arman Tsarukyan with a counter right. So might be looking at Makhachev doing some serious damage against Tsarukyan, who's coming into this rematch really promising, up-and-coming contender. The split decision against Oliveira, some people felt he lost that fight. It was damn close. He was put in bad positions throughout. I don't think you can be that tooth and nail with Oliveira and then beat this prime pound-for-pound form of Makhachev. So yes, it's Makhachev. Benardo Sopaj, he's fighting Ricky Turcios. Unless Benardo Sopaj is the bust of all prospects and becomes the biggest bust of 2025, he should have his way with volume punching Ricky Turcios. He doesn't, this is Ricky Turcios, have much knockout power. He doesn't have much speed. He's okay everywhere. He has decent jiu-jitsu, but it's really not that impressive. He's competent on the mat, but he also likes bottom position a bit too much. What are we going to celebrate him almost putting Raul Rosas in a rear naked choke, but not getting it in round 1 as a reason to pick him against Sopaj, who's a super athletic and precise striker with a solid wrestling game and a super high-level talent on the come-up? I think he's spectacular as far as up-and-coming guys go. And you look at the Vinicius Oliveira fight, he was doing great in that fight, obviously. Round 3, it fell apart. Oliveira then went on to beat longtime UFC top 15 staple Ricky Simón. I think Benardo Sopaj is going to run through Ricky Turcios. He might knock him out, but I don't need to chase the knockout, and I don't even need to chase any type of prop for the main event either with Makhachev. I'm just going to put Sopaj and Makhachev together. Fight number 2 on the card and championship fight number 2 on the card. Put them together in a parlay at -137. I think that's the truest form of a lock city parlay. In essence, lock the door. There is no key. Makhachev, Sopaj, my UFC 311 lock that I'm feeling damn good about. I'm ready to start hitting the ground running in 2025. And I wanted to do something that I saw had enough value, but also was extreme likelihood. And I think this is going to be it. So Lock City Parlay, there it is for you guys. I'm locking a parlay this week. And I love locking parlays, to be honest. Expect more of that in 2025. And I'm ready to get a W this Saturday. So there is the parlay. Lock City, Sopaj, Makhachev to start the show off. But we got more. We got to talk about my most confident picks on the card. Now, I will bring 4 of them up on screen, and let's discuss each one of them individually. Peyton Talbot by knockout is the official pick. Now, ultimately, you can't really get anywhere with a Peyton Talbot money line ranging from -1,050 on the low end upwards to like -1,200. I wish it was +1,200. If Peyton Talbot was +1,200, everybody would have bet him down. It's not possible. That would be a delusional line. He should be a massive favorite against the aging Rainy Barcelos, who he has an obvious speed advantage on. He's got cleaner boxing. He's more slick on the feet. Where's Barcelos going to beat him? He's going to drag him to the ground and just dominate him from top position. Talbot's just too mobile, too elusive, and his reflexes are so good. He has the gift of timing with his punching as well, and he's got some serious pop in his hands that I think is going to deliver a violent KO for him coming this Saturday. Now, obviously, the money line, not much you can do with it, but it's all down to confidence. I got to bring it up because it's a most confident pick. It becomes a, longer shot parlay piece. Looking at odds, outside of the money line, the KO line for Peyton Talbot is -190. Now, I do think he's very live to finish the fight in round 1. Talbot to win in round 1 sits upwards of +220. If you go in Talbot in round 2, +275 at the moment. I'm not seeing knockout round props yet, but I do think he's getting it done within the first 2 rounds. I don't think that the fight is going to see round number 3. I definitely feel like under 2.5 rounds is very live at -210 here. Talbot should find Barcelos' chin and violently knock him out. I think that Talbot is about as good as advertised, and he seems to be someone with a lot of promise. Like Barcelos, okay, he beat Quinones in the last fight. I guess that's all right. Lost to Kyler Phillips, lost to Umar Nurmagomedov, lost to Victor Henry, lost to Timur Valiev. He's definitely out of his prime, and this could potentially be the worst version of Barcelos ever. What is he, 39 years old? He's not beating Peyton Talbot in 2025. No way. Talbot, high confidence pick, and the bookies completely agree. Jailton Almeida, another one. You got to lay the chalk down heavy on these ones. Gianni the Greek, he'd be proud if you're laying the chalk like this. -440 for Jailton Almeida. I see Jailton taking it home. Where's Spivak going to beat him? Spivak's going to out-wrestle him? No. Spivak's going to catch him with a knockout punch? Spivak's going to get a KO? Who's Spivak knocking out? He's good from top position. I guess he's got an okay armbar. He got Tibura with it. Jailton Almeida is not Marcin Tibura. He's way more mobile and athletic. Substantially faster in transition speed on the ground. Simply better at jiu-jitsu than Marcin Tibura. And I think Jailton is fine in striking. Jailton could probably give Spivak a boxing lesson if he desired to strike in this fight. But I will say that Jailton looks to grapple because when you put Sergey Spivak on his back, he's going to absolutely hate it. He's going to look like a damn fish out of water. Now, granted, you'll see, but he locked up an armbar against Tibura. There's a different level. Okay, yeah, maybe from full guard, you leave an arm there and you're like not paying attention. He could throw something up. But let's be real. Jailton Almeida is not going to do that. Spivak is not armbarring Jailton. Submission +130, so it's not great odds for the submission, but I do think there's a good chance that he pulls through by sub. Now, I've seen some people talk about maybe Jailton winning a decision, but normally he's a finisher, and you shouldn't sell yourself this narrative that he's a decision guy just because he beat Derek Lewis by a decision and dominated every position. Lewis does have, freaky abilities to stand up, and Jailton was fighting at home in Brazil. That fight, to be fair, seemed like he played it a little bit safe. Coming off of a quick submission of Romanov, who obviously is worse, significantly worse than Sergey Spivak. But I still think the back taken of Sergey Spivak is a dead zone for him. And I'll expect Jailton probably to lock up a choke and force the submission. So Jailton Almeida is going to be another one of the confident picks on the card. Next up, and new Umar Nurmagomedov. As great as Merab Dvalishvili's legacy is, I have strong faith that Team Dagestan breeds talent of simply another level. And I believe Umar Nurmagomedov will be able to fight off Merab's wrestling pressure and strike well with him. Now, Umar is a pretty wide favorite at -300. This is not what's the best line for the confident call. This is a true confident pick. Umar, he's a 3-1 favorite. He should win the fight. Should the odds be this wide? Probably not, because Merab deserves more respect than that. But I think Umar Nurmagomedov is going to be able to outstrike Merab, stop takedowns, potentially threaten with takedowns of his own. And I see Umar getting his hand raised. Merab doesn't have the striking versatility for him. On the feet, Umar is clearly better. You can be sold into thinking Merab's a better striker than he really is because of how he looks standing up in certain fights, when his wrestling advantage is so obvious that his opponents are essentially helpless to him shooting takedowns. That's not the case in this fight here. And I think Umar Nurmagomedov also has very good footwork, and he's going to be able to avoid even takedown attempts from Merab Dvalishvili by creating the proper space and then counter striking. So I think Umar's a maestro. I expect a high quality performance. Hard fought win, but a win nonetheless. Now he's 3-1 as the favorite. Where do you find value? Well, in a perfect world, Umar Nurmagomedov makes the Los Angeles Intuit Dome pop. I was thinking they relocated because the wildfires, but they didn't. The card is still in LA. You got Nurmagomedov by KO plus 625. That's a Degen call amongst it all. The official pick is Nurmagomedov decision, -110. I see him, taking more rounds. But a counter shot knockout could be there. A high kick knockout could be there. He could catch Merab. We've not seen Merab flatlined, but we've seen Merab's knees buckles a few times in the damn octagon. And I think that Umar could definitely do some damage. Nonetheless, Umar winning, that's the high confident pick. And next up, you think I'm leaving out another Dagestan Savage? I can't. I think Tagir Ulanbekov beats Clayton Carpenter. And I really like Clayton Carpenter as a prospect. But I rate Tagir Ulanbekov's overall pressure wrestling game is too much. And I can't in good faith lay any confidence towards the Carpenter side, where he's coming off a win against Lucas Rocha. That's just not a high caliber win. Rocha probably should be fighting at 115, and they don't even have that weight class in the UFC. He's good, Carpenter. He's got decent boxing, Golden Gloves background, some wrestling, sure. He's probably faster than Tagir in the pocket. Tagir's striking is not his best attribute. Stand-up's okay. But he should be able to tie up with Carpenter, drag him to the ground, and if Carpenter shoots, Tagir is very live to threaten with chokes, and I have to respect Tagir Ulanbekov. I think he's taking home a W. I say he finds the way to win. He beats Clayton Carpenter in this fight. I don't see him catching an L here to Carpenter. I think this is simply way too much of a jump up in competition for Clayton Carpenter. This is a, widely different level of fight than his recent UFC fights against bottom feeders in the flyweight division. And now he fights a legit top 15 threat. And it's Tagir Ulanbekov, who trains with Team Habib. Likelihood of success is extremely low, and that's why Tagir is a 3-1 favorite. I see him taking home a pretty nice W in this fight here. Now, submission is live. There's more value on the line. It's plus 400 for the sub. But decision does make sense too at -110. I think ultimately it comes down to what does Carpenter do when he's put into compromised positions. If Carpenter has the mentality of forcing himself up to his feet, he could actually then be caught in a counter submission by Ulanbekov. But if Carpenter has a mentality of, okay, let me just take my time, we'll survive, we'll get through these bad spots, and then I'll find my way up only when a true moment arises, but he's not going to work super hard to create those moments, then sure, Ulanbekov could blanket him for 3 rounds. I think Carpenter is more of the type of fighter that is going to try his absolute hardest to get up to his feet. And in doing so, he probably puts himself in a more compromised position, raising the likelihood of a submission finish. So Ulanbekov by sub at 4-1, not a bad line at all for the high level of grappling you're looking at with Ulanbekov from Dagestan. So those are my 4 most confident picks on the card. I'm damn excited. You can see it in my eyes. I'm looking forward to this weekend. 311 is going to be a banger, and I'm loving the calls. We got a lot more. Let's keep running. Next up, we're doing favorite underdogs. And also, if you guys are enjoying the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe too if you really like the content. Keep it locked in on the channel. Yuri Prochazka to win is a high confidence dog. Well, maybe not the most high confidence, but as far as dog picks, a live dog call. Kevin Holland, also, I think a high quality underdog call, and a degen dog call of Diego Ferreira. So we'll first talk Yuri Prochazka. I guess he is a high confidence call. That's what I said. That's what I felt in the moment of saying it. I didn't say that by mistake. Walked it back almost for a moment because, it's not in the most confident pick section. Prochazka's flaw is lacking defensive ability, but he also has a crazy mentality. He brings insane pressure. He throws nice shots over the top, and Jamal Hill is live to be caught going backwards. Jamal Hill is extremely good when he is the one on the offensive pressure attack, but when he's forced to go backwards, vulnerabilities begin to show themselves. Looping shots over the top by Prochazka, devastating in this fight. Explosive pressure, devastating in this fight. Jamal Hill has good straight punches, and you'll say, okay, well, the straight punch gets to the target before the looping shot. In theory, yes, but here's why in this matchup, I question the success of Hill while moving backwards, throwing straights. He likes to throw punches with his guard on the lower side. We're talking so much about Yuri Prochazka not keeping his hands up. Jamal Hill doesn't commonly just keep a Titan, Muay Thai-esque boxing style, right? He's a lot looser. He stands up tall. The hands are lower towards the upper chest. And I think throwing those straight shots with his chin up high puts him in the perfect position to get caught by the madman, the crazy samurai himself, Yuri Prochazka. And I just can't look over that vulnerability. I think Yuri's getting a knockout. Now, it definitely could be tooth and nail in the first round and a half, 2 rounds. But I think eventually that chin, it'll open up for us. Now, as far as the odds, Prochazka is sitting around +110 as the underdog. Him winning by KO +180. He could go long too. Yuri Prochazka, I have been following his whole career from outside of the UFC to now, and he's been one of the best light heavyweights on the planet for years. Jamal Hill has currently 1 win against a ranked light heavyweight, Johnny Walker. Look at some of his other wins in the light heavyweight division. Yes, he beat Glover Teixeira impressively, but a 43-year-old Glover. And I know, yes, Glover Teixeira fought against Yuri Prochazka in the fight before that. I understand. But he still was 43 at the time he fought against Jamal. Thiago Santos finish. Thiago Santos is okay. At that time, I think he was teetering towards the downslope, but still an impressive win at that time. Jimmy Crute win. Jimmy Crute's not good. OSP win. OSP's not good. And now we're digging it too far back. OSP, I guess, at one point was decent. I was an OSP fan at one point. But let's be real here. Ovin St. Preux, even in 2020 when he fought against Jamal Hill, was not prime contender OSP. And yeah, Hill's gonna clap somebody like that with, flawed stand-up and lacking power, lacking a chin, and, towards the end of his career, like, he didn't even have the fast twist shots anymore. Don't compare Ovin St. Preux to Yuri Prochazka in the comments because they're both unorthodox. Don't do that. Don't do it. I'm talking to you. I know one of you was thinking of it. No. Nah. Yuri Prochazka has gone tooth and nail with top fighters for a long time, prior to UFC too. Inside the UFC, has wins over 3 fighters currently ranked in the top 15, Volkan Oezdemir, Dominic Reyes, and Alexander Rakic. He beat Alexander Rakic more impressively than anyone else has. Magomed Ankalaev just beat him on a relatively competitive decision. Prochazka walked him down, broke him, and finished him. I like Yuri Prochazka. I like his dog mentality. I like his toughness. I like his knockout power. And I think he is going to put Jamal Hill down in this fight. And I'm going Yuri Prochazka as a high confidence dog. Now let's keep running. Next up, let's talk about Kevin Holland. Our boy, Kevin Holland. Man, Kevin. I'm thinking of Home Alone when I say his name. Kevin Holland is incredibly good and incredibly not good at the same time. I'm not going to call him shit because I like Kevin. He's shit sometimes, though, because his mind is not always there, okay? He's not always in the game, all right? Kevin Holland, I know he trains, but how hard does he push it in certain camps? I question it. He's definitely made some money in fighting now, and he doesn't have that same urgency compared to his prime when he was on a tear in the middleweight division. But what I will say is this. Even if his mentality is fighting for money, he's got to recognize that if you lose to Reinier de Ridder, your chance of a pay cut, pretty substantial on that next contract. He's not going to be making as much. Lose it to a Reinier de Ridder now, he's completely irrelevant compared to the top 15. A loss on short notice to Roman Dolidze last time, forgivable for sure. This loss won't be forgivable. I think Kevin Holland is going to show up to this fight dialed in. I think Kevin Holland is going to show up to this fight dangerous. Kevin Holland's another good bet. I think Kevin Holland knocks the Ridder out the way he stands up like this. Chin is here. Stands up. Chin up crazy. I think Kevin Holland's putting him out. Counter shot KO. Kevin Holland for the W. Now, minus 105, he's not really a dog, but still technically a dog and worthwhile mention. KO win for Kevin Holland, plus 205. I think he's going to beat up the Ridder. Way more athletic, way faster, way better on the feet. The Ridder's an awkward grappler. His striking is pretty bad. The way he grabs single collar clinch is weird, and it leaves him open to big shots. Like he beat GM3 on the ground. Cool. He also was getting touched up by GM3 in striking last fight. Kevin Holland is not losing to Reinier de Ridder. De Ridder getting knocked out. Holland, the good underdog. Next up, Carlos Diego Ferreira over Grant Dawson. I can see the pundits right now. Bro, you're crazy. Grant Dawson. Look how good of a prospect he is. Oh my gosh. You know, he grapple fucked Joe Solecki so well. It's not like Joe Solecki didn't just lose to Nurullo Aliev, who was in his second UFC fight. Oh my God. Finished Huffa Garcia. Huffa Garcia is not cut from the same cloth as Carlos Diego Ferreira. Bobby Green caught him with a straight shot and dropped him, put him flat out. He's got some wins against like Ismagulov, who's okay, but has horrible grappling. Marco Madsen, who was just a wrestler. Jared Gordon, who's a journeyman. A draw against Rick Glenn, where he gassed out in round 3. You get where I'm coming from? He's got a quick finish on the regional scene. He got knocked out by Hugh Poley in 36 seconds. What I'm telling you is this. Grant Dawson doesn't have a chin. Grant Dawson's durability is bad. It's actually like underrated as far as how bad I believe it is. I don't think he takes a good punch. I think Diego Ferreira can catch him with a straight shot to the chin and Grant will fall down. Diego Ferreira, say what you want about how the technique looks. He's effective with straight punches. You know what else he's also great at? Getting back up to his feet after being taken down. And for a long time, he was known as a guy that could beat a lot of these decent grapplers. He's kind of been forgotten about in recent years, but I think some people started to remember, me included, after he beat up Mateusz Rembeszki in a back-and-forth war. Fight before that, starched Michael Johnson in one shot, and then you're digging back to 2021. Unfortunate loss to Gamrot, where he ended up tapping to strikes with like a knee to the body that tended to or potentially dislocated / broke a rib. Let's not get into the little nitty gritty technical stuff. But as far as the fight, he didn't look that awful against Gamrot either. He didn't look that awful. I know he's taking some L's, like Gillespie caught him years ago. He's still beating some savages. Beat Rustam Khabilov. Beat Tasumov, who at one point was a good prospect. Beat Anthony Pettis, submitted him. Beat OAM, who went on to be a dominant champ in the PFL. I think that he's being slept on. I get it, he's 39. He actually turns 40 on fight day. But his style is tricky for Grant Dawson. And this is no walk in the park. I like the 2-1 underdog. At plus 205, I think Carlos Diego Ferreira has a real chance. A real chance. The odds have actually started to come down a bit. Earlier this week, it was around plus 300 for Diego. Now, plus 205. It seems like there's been some dollars dropped on the side of Diego Ferreira. Now, KO win for Ferreira, upwards of plus 500, but I do think he's live to find that Grant Dawson chin. He's got good jiu-jitsu too. You can't doubt Carlos Diego Ferreira in any aspect of the fight. It's easy to doubt him. Sometimes he looks a little clunky, but he's still effective, and I think he's going to be the winner. I'm going Carlos Diego Ferreira. I'm excited for this fight. I think it's going to be really good. That right there is the 3 favorite underdog lineup for UFC 311. Now, next up, I want to quickly go over some Degen props that I think, maybe are worth looking at. Carol Rosa to win by a decision. I see her getting the fight. I see her getting it on the cards. Odds are not great, but it's minus 135. You also have Rosa and Pérez to go over 2.5. You got to lay a lot of chalk down. It's essentially only a parlay piece. That's at minus 500. Now, another one that caught my eye, and maybe you guys are thinking the same thing, I feel there's a chance Yuri and Hill go over a round and a half at minus 155. But to be fair, as dangerous as both guys are on the feet, you're playing with fire. But sometimes those fights where you play with fire in a certain bet, especially for an over like this, you end up defeating the fire. And I think there's a chance that Yuri Prochazka and Jamal heads into the later stages of round 2 or even potentially round 3. Ulanbekov to win via submission, which is more of a reiteration, but you have to recognize the submission threat Ulanbekov brings to the table. And the fact Carpenter's fought nobody like him, plus 400 for Ulanbekov to win by sub. And then Kevin Holland, if good old Kevin Holland can put his hands together, drop some bombs, some big combos, plus 205. I like Kevin Holland straight, though, better. But still, worth talking about the knockout prop because I think he's live to get one. Those are some Degen props of the night, but you know what time it is. It's time for me to talk about the parlays to play. I hope you guys are enjoying this week's Best MMA Bets. Make sure you all leave a like down below and subscribe. There's daily content. You don't want to miss it. In the parlay section, you don't want to miss either. Let's go through the parlays. Now, at the top, you already know about this one. Sopaj and Makhachev, Lock City, minus 137. We don't need to go into more details. We already did for the lock segment. I also like the Dog Champs parlay with Makhachev and Nurmagomedov. That one makes a lot of sense to me at minus 136. Now, if you're looking for an alternate confident play, the Brazilian alternate is kind of called my name, Moicano and Almeida. Now, Moicano was left out of most confident picks, but wasn't by a substantial margin. He could have made the cut. He was on tier 2. It just didn't come together, and he just didn't have a place to fit in. I thought about honorable mentioning him, but then I said, no, I'll just put him in the parlay section. Moicano Almeida, minus 103, is a quality Brazilian alternate. Next up, we have a low value, high chance. Talbot, Almeida, Nakamura. Why is Nakamura not in the most confident pick section? Well, the odds sucked. The confidence wasn't as high as some of the other ones, and I figured, why put in a guy who's, still developing with no upside? At least the other people that I put down, I'm like, yo, I see it for sure. I don't have too much worry of the flaw just yet. Even with Talbot, who's still young. I'm thinking Nakamura wins, though, just to be fair. Like, he should pull through. Minus 165 sucks, though, but I wanted to include one that kind of sucks, but I'm sure somebody's going to look for something like that, and that might be the one to do. Now, if you're looking for some safe value, you have Sopaj, Makhachev, and Nurmagomedov sitting at plus 133. You're in the plus money territory, at least. Now, if you want value, Sopaj, Holland, and Yuri, you got to have some balls for this one. Grab your nutsack, plus 465. You got 2 underdogs. You got a piece of the lock, and I think you got big money coming at plus 465 if you throw down the hammer. Now, if you're just looking for overs, okay? Yuri Hill over 1.5. Rosa Pérez over 2.5. Makes a lot of sense to me. Now, if you include those two overs, but you also throw down Sopaj, Talbot, and Makhachev, I'm pretty confident that at plus 258, you got a winner here. If you want to just do a Dagestan parlay with Team Habib, you got Makhachev, Nurmagomedov, and Tagir, Ulanbekov. Those three together, plus 131. Not crazy plus money, but three proven winners who I see having success this Saturday. Now, if you're looking for quality, I think this one's pretty quality. You got Sopaj, Talbot, Ulanbekov, and the Rosa, Pérez over 2.5 rounds, plus 127. It's another relatively safe alternate play because I wanted to include some of the safer calls. Now, if you're looking for the sweep of all the confidence, including everything, plus 382. Yes, I say yes, sweep incoming. If you're doing the Brazil stand-up one, you love Brazilian fighters, as you should. Granted, the Brazilian ladies on this card are not catching the eyes like they were last weekend, but Rosa will catch your attention with her dangerous punching and her nasty calf kicks. So you play that one. You got Underdog Ferreira, you got Rosa, you got Money Moicano and Jailton Almeida, plus 775. Brazil standing up this weekend. I think so. And then this next one is Sopaj, Makhachev, Nurmagomedov, Yuri, and Holland at plus 877. I like it. I like this one for real, though. I think there's a real high probability that it actually comes to fruition. If you got the confidence in some dogs, you can cash big this week. Next up, we're doing a main card sweep parlay. Every fight on the main card being right, it's time to do it. Plus 918, Holland, Moicano, Yuri Prochazka, Umar Nurmagomedov, and Islam Makhachev for a main card sweep at plus 918. Yeah, I see it. And if you're doing a doggy D-Gen play, you got Yuri, Holland, and Ferreira at plus 1244. I like the doggy D-Gen. 3 favorite underdogs on the card. Put all together, I'm feeling good about my dogs this week. You're getting a ton of upside if you're throwing down at plus 1244. But to be fair, you can do well betting each of them individually too. You don't got to just go D-Gen crazy mode. You notice that I skipped the word savage because I'm sure some of you guys are wondering, AJ, where's the D-Gen savage play? Where's the D-Gen parlay? Hold up. I got it coming. But for those dirty screenshotters who just bail, if you screenshot it and you're sticking around, I love you. But for the screenshot and bailing folks, they're going to miss out on it. I had to bring them some fire this week. I had to mess with their heads. So let me bring in the D-Gen parlays on this card. D-Gen, Makhachev, Nurmagomedov, Sopaj, Holland, Rosa over 2.5, Almeida, Talbot, and Bekoev. You might be saying, AJ, weren't you going to pick Reese? Bekoev landed on this parlay. EV, good wrestling, questionable. Reese on the other side, something spoke to me with this one, and I got to trust faith. Plus 976 for this one right here. Now, between you and I, Bekoev accidentally landed on this parlay sheet, and I said, I don't want to take him off. What if he wins and I switch him out for somebody else? That would be stupid of me. I think Bekoev pulls through. Now, the D-Gen Savage call, Makhachev, Nurmagomedov, Sopaj, Holland, Rosa over 2.5, Almeida, Talbot, Ulanbekov, and the Yuri Hill. I think it's over 1.5. I wrote over 2.5. That's actually a mismark. Oops. Caught my own mistake on live. Plus 1474 for the D-Gen Savage call because I got to bring the thunder. I got to bring some D-Gen savagery. Now, I know somebody's going to ask, wait, AJ, wait. Before you finish out the show, can you bring us another parlay? Can you bring us a different one? Can you bring us maybe an even better one? You want me to? Is that what you really want? Because I guess I can bring you one. I got one last one that I can bring up right here. The final one. Bam, bam, bam. The final one. This right here is it. Not the last one. That's the one we just played. This one right here is straight degeneracy if you are doing it. Plus 8,798. Not recommending anybody throw down. Holland, Ferreira, Prochazka, Makhachev, Nurmagomedov, Moicano, Almeida, Talbot, Sopaj, and Ulanbekov. I'm not telling you to go do that. I'm not telling you to go do it. But if you want plus 8,798, you could end up hitting. Hey, in good faith, I tell you, best of luck if you're throwing down on the chaos play this week. Because that's chaotic right there. That's delusional. But listen, genius, delusion right up until it works. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's Best MMA Bets. I enjoyed this show a lot this week. Today we went pretty savage mode USA, and I had a lot of fun. Definitely let me know what you think of some of the bets on the card. Do you agree with my Lock City parlay? Do you like my favorite underdogs? What do you agree with? I want to see where we align. And then let me know where you disagree too, because I want to hear from everybody. I'm talking to you, Troll Star. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's show. Smash the likes. If you guys are new, subscribe to the channel. Keep it locked in. I got daily content, daily live streams 2 times a day, and I'm going to keep bringing the thunder for you guys. Doing a Fight Companion Saturday per usual as well, so make sure you guys tune into that, and we can watch everything unfold. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.